delighted to initiate this trip today and tomorrow here in Colorado Springs. And, you know, I'm a nun on the bus. I'm Colorado, Denver, and I'm a lawyer with the Legal Services Program. And my whole legal career has been trying to gain access to health care for low-income people and for elderly people. And we're here to say that a budget is a moral issue. A budget is a moral issue, and this budget that's coming up, we need to work really hard to get a budget that is serving the people, that is providing what we know of reasonable accommodations and reasonable preparations for all the people that are at the margins of our society. The folks who are on the margins are the people that are served by centers like this, and served by all of you in your own ways. And I think what we need to do is try to find the base that we can come from, the common ground that we can walk on, to try to say to all of our elected officials that poor people, low-income people have paid the price. They have paid the price, and they do not need to sacrifice any more. We need to keep the floor, not let the floor go out from under people. And the floor means access to health care, it means access to housing, it means access to jobs that are meaningful and that provide a living wage for families. We need to have food and income security for people. Now, I work at the other end of life. I work with seniors primarily. And I'm here today because of Lottie Ham. Lottie Ham was a client of mine about 20 years ago. And she was in a nursing home in Bear Creek, in Morrison, Colorado, Bear Creek Nursing Home. And she'd been on Medicaid for a number of years. She was paralyzed and needed 2 or 3 people to assist her out of bed. And she was faced with an eviction notice from the nursing home because her ex-husband died. And because neither of them had married, she got his higher income. And it put her $38 over the Medicaid limit. Now, we had a hearing in federal court before Judge Jim Kerrigan on the day that she was to be evicted from the nursing home. And I've never prayed harder in my life for anything. You know, there are a lot of things in the law that relate, like we talk about a prayer for relief. Well, mine was a prayer for relief that day for her, an injunction to keep her in the facility. And one of the things that is amazing is what kind of response we got from the legal community. You know, I was a poverty lawyer. I'd never seen a trust or handled a trust. And we were able to create a trust for this woman so that her income went into the trust and she was eligible for Medicaid until the day she died. And so I'm here for Lottie and all the people like her who have been, you know, who've spent their lives providing for others and are just asking for a modicum of decency in the end of their life. Thank you all. I'd like to introduce Reverend Roger Buss, who's from your community here in Colorado Springs.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What a beautiful day. Some of us hope that the working poor will not be forgotten, will not be exploited and abused as this fiscal showdown in Washington, D.C. occurs. Some of us pray, some of us hope, some of us write letters, and apparently others of us rent buses. Or buy buses or steal buses, I don't know what to do.
Not buy, I can guarantee.
Go from town to town talking about the importance of this budget as a moral issue. Talking about the working families, the elderly, and those programs that serve them, how crucially important they are. So we come out today to hear from Sister Simone Campbell and Nuns on the Bus. We come to say thank you for your witness, for witnessing to the best of our various faiths, for witnessing to the best within us, our deepest aspiration, our highest held values. Thank you for joining together with us in this regard. We stand with you, sisters, as you confront a divided Congress, a divided nation. We know that this fiscal showdown is serious. We know it's coming. We know that poor children and their families do not have high-powered lobbyists on K Street, right? And if they are to be heard, it's going to be through voices like yours and ours. Voices like ours, people of all faith, none at all, people of all stripes and colors, immigrants, people whose parents and families came here illegally, people who came on the Mayflower, people who came on the Middle Passage, all of us together, someone who crossed the border, anybody and all of us together making a difference. You are inviting us, sisters, to build a coalition that remembers the forgotten, that demands that justice and equality and fairness determine the outcome of what this federal budget looks like. Thank you for reminding us that every life matters. Thank you for reminding us that the working poor need to have as much access to halls of power as the rich and wealthy and those special interests. Thank you most of all for reminding us that compassion can have a word in our deliberation. Kindness, human dignity, human connection. And we hope that your visit to El Paso County today will not just be a moment of joy and wonder and beauty, but rather will be the beginning of something special. Let it be the first step of a faith-filled movement. Reminding our congressmen, reminding our senators that we will not be forgotten. Reminding them to do the right thing for our nation, protecting programs like Medicaid and Medicare and Social Security and nutrition support for struggling families. No one has to go alone if we all pay our fair share. Amen. Thank you, sister. Thank you, nuns on the bus, for this opportunity to reflect on the federal budget as a moral document and to reflect on our obligation. Woof, woof. To reflect on our obligation to those who most clearly express the face of the nonviolent Jesus in our society, the vulnerable, the weak, the powerless. May you always lift our voice. May we always lift our voice on their behalf. Get on the bus, y'all. Take care. I'm delighted to introduce to you Brian Cates, the director of this awesome community center.
Welcome, everybody. Sister Simone Campbell, all the sisters, everyone from Colorado Springs, from outside Colorado Springs. My name is Brian Cates. I am the facility director here at Meadows Park Community Center. And we're standing on what I would call, for me, hallowed ground. It may seem like a parking lot to some. It may seem like a worn building behind me. However, it's what takes place at this center, which I think is indicative of America and about what truly is a land of opportunity. Here at Meadows Park, this building was previously a strip plaza. There were 4 different units, one being a liquor store, one being a convenience store. The residents over 30 years ago, they identified that there were issues and they had concerns. Real or perceived, they didn't feel safe. Real or perceived, there weren't adequate opportunities for the youth. They didn't necessarily know what the solutions were, but they truly could identify and felt what the problems were. They followed due course. They lobbied in front of City Council, which you can still do today. And long story short, this land, this property was acquired, and now in its 31st year, we continue to provide skills and scopes of services for all people, all ages, all stages, all ability levels. That's where we stand today. We have people like Sister Barbara Jean to my right, who for many, many years, with her organization, SET of Colorado Springs, provided free care for those who were underinsured or uninsured. Thank you for all you do for service. Through the Housing Authority, we provide low-cost, nutritious meals for the seniors. We have an outstanding preschool where you can see our class is here. This is our future leader, right here. Class of roughly 2029. Finally, I want to end with a story which I think is symbolic of much of what goes on here. It's the story of a bicycle named Latte. Latte was a bicycle donated to us approximately 2 years ago by a woman of pretty wealthy means who acquired the bicycle from her daughter who worked at REI at the flagship store in Seattle. It was a special edition bicycle that was designed for the trail that adjoined the store. And it had great significance to this woman because that's when she would be with her family, recreating. Her husband left her just 2 years before, and her daughter grew to be of age where she was no longer here spending the same amount of time with her mom. But Lynn could not bear to see the bike just stay and collect dust in the garage, so she decided we need to find a happy home. She knew not of Meadows Park Community Center or anything that happened here, but through a neighbor who belonged to a local church, she was told of Meadows Park and its need for such things as bicycles, with the thought that many children didn't have one and could greatly benefit. So on this one day, Lynn brought Latte down here, which was the name of the bicycle, and whether it was serendipity, coincidence, or divine intervention, when she entered with the bicycle, the first child that she met was a child named Jonathan, who's probably the most remarkable, highest achieving youth that we've had come through our doors in quite some time. They struck a conversation, and in that conversation, Lynn was so struck with the drive and the determination that Jonathan has that she gave Jonathan the bike. She has helped subsidize Jonathan so that he and his family could have internet access in their home, used to try to gain vocational training and help academically with both him and his cousin. He was linked through Lynn to a nonprofit called Peak Education, which, so long as he maintains his grades, which is no problem for Jonathan, he's on the fast track to a college scholarship. The idea is that he will return back to his native Liberia and bring some more cousins and family back to the United States here, which again, as I remarked, is the land of opportunity. That bicycle connected people who otherwise would have no direct association, and it shows what is possible when you leverage resources, which I believe do exist in this country. They just need to be leveraged and find its way to those particularly who don't have ready access to them.
Amen.
That's the speech. Please stay for a tour. We'd like to show you. Thank you.
We have to check our schedule here.
Okay. Well, let me bring up to the stage, because I know her and think very highly of Alicia Stewart. She is our preschool director, and she can tell you about one critical program that we have here, which is addressing the needs of our 3 to 5 year olds, not just to address public safety, not just to keep them socially engaged, but to bridge the education gap so that when they do start kindergarten, they're on the fast track for success. Alicia Stewart.
Hi, I just wanted to share with you all a quick story. I've been following Nuns on the Bus ever since they started. I'm so excited for them to be here today. They're so empowering, and it's so encouraging to see that somebody does care about the same things that I care about. I want to share a quick story with you. I work for an organization called Diakonia, and our mission is to serve low-income families and their children with high-quality preschool. So I am one of 3 preschools. The other 2 are right now in the process of getting NACCE certified, and we will be getting NACCE certified within the next 1.5 years. So it's our goal to serve these children with high-quality preschool, because we know how important preschool is. And so last year was our first year here at Meadows Park. Well, it was my first year here at Meadows Park Community Center. And I had a child that came in with not a lot of knowledge base. He didn't really know any numbers, he didn't know any letters, and I'm sure might have been just because my teacher and I we strive for excellence. We kind of freaked out at the beginning of the year and in the middle of the year and kind of a little bit at the end of the year, but we had to let him go. We had to let him go off to kindergarten. I am very happy to report that we saw his mom a couple of weeks ago, and his mom said that he is at the top of his kindergarten class. So I know for a fact that if he hadn't had an opportunity to come to a high-quality preschool, and if they would have had to pay for it, if it would have been too far away, then he would not have succeeded as much as he's succeeding right now. And I know that this child is going to go off to be a great person. He's going to do great things for all of us, because this is the next generation, guys. Here they are right here. And if we don't educate them, if we don't make sure that they are okay, then we're the ones that are going to suffer. So thank you very much for having me. And like I said, I would love my picture. We are actually wrapping up our day, so I'm going to have parents coming in. So I'm very happy. Thank you all for listening to me. And remember, support our children, support education, and support each other. Thanks, guys. And I get to introduce one of my idols. Like I said, these young ladies are very, very empowering for me. So if I start crying, please forgive me. But I'm going to introduce the incomparable Sister Simone Campbell.
Aren't these most fabulous, precious treasures? Yes, yay, God, fabulous. Woo-hoo. And they're beautiful too. They're all dressed up pink. I like the crown. Did you see the crown? What a great honor to be here in this hallowed ground. I mean, can't you just feel that good things have happened here? Good things have happened that bring us all together so that we can stand together as a nation. And you know, Nuns on the Bus, we've been to a whole bunch of states now when we picked up some Colorado folks. Or I picked up some Colorado folks. They actually picked me up at the airport. But the thing about Colorado for me that's really special is that my folks were born and raised and lived in Denver until they went west. My dad wanted to work on airplanes during World War II, so they went west. But we came back every summer to visit relatives. And I told some of you this, coming to the Springs was always a high point because, you know, that was right near the mountains and it was really beautiful. But for me to be back kind of connects my roots. And this is a time in our history where we really need to remember both our past and to look to our future with hope and to know that we as a nation are all about community. All about standing together, not standing alone. Some politicians want us to think that it's only individuals take care of their individual selves. That is not our democracy.
No, it's not.
Democracy means that we come together to solve our problems. Democracy means that when you solve our problems, we create some systems to work with it. That, my friends, is called government. So when you try to undercut government, you're undercutting our democracy. Because the fact is, some would like us to think that only the few can benefit in our nation because, oh my heavens, it's scarce out there. There's a real trouble. Well, there's trouble, but trouble that only can be dealt with if we do it together. We, the people of the United States, are the ones that can make the difference. It's not just we the politicians or we the, I don't know what, we the super rich, we the folks who turn up. It's all of us together have to do this. Now in DC, Congressman Paul Ryan, oh my heavens, it's a challenge. Congressman Paul Ryan proposed this budget that was all about individualism. He said that we didn't have enough money, that we were going bankrupt as a nation. The richest nation on earth is not bankrupt. I say the only thing we're bankrupt in is political will to engage with some of the problems. But the fact is, Congressman Ryan's interpretation is we're so bankrupt that, we have to cut these social programs. We have to cut programs for those amazing 4-year-olds, for all of the folks that get served here at the center. We have to cut those programs because they're a problem, so we can have those programs years from now. So we don't feed poor people, we don't feed people now, but we'll feed them in 20 years. I don't know how that works. The fact is that there's an alternative. And we were just arguing against the Ryan budget. We just kept saying no. And then finally the interfaith community in DC came together in December last year, almost a year ago. And we said, we need to create an alternative because you can't just say no. We have to do the hard work. So we worked for 3 months to create a faithful budget, an alternative way forward that was created by the Jewish, Christian, and Muslim community in DC to say that there is an alternative. We, the people, can have an alternative. Yes. All right, now my chorus, what? My chorus is a bit parched back here. Okay, some of my chorus is out here. Okay, now it's 55 glorious pages that you can find at faithfulbudget.org, but it boils down to 5 words, and the chorus is going to say it for us. Reasonable revenue for responsible programs. Got it? Okay. All right. So, okay, now let's hear it from you. Reasonable revenue for responsible programs. Oh, wow, you're great. Okay. Well, reasonable revenue. What does that mean? The politicians don't want to tell you this, but quite frankly, we have to raise taxes. Yep. Let's be real. Yeah. The Bush-era tax cuts. Remember in the 2000, most of us are old enough to remember the 2000 election, the big thing was, what do we do with our surplus? Where did that conversation go? So we decided on 2 huge tax cuts that went principally to those at the top. Do you know the top 1% or 2%, the top 2% income has grown 120% over the last 30 years? No. While the middle class, the middle group, has grown only 11%. And do you know what? Those at the bottom 20%, in 30 years, their income has gone down 7%. Mm-hmm. So who has the capacity to pay a little bit more? It's not a lot. It's some more. But it will be a big help to our society, or those at the top who've benefited the most from our amazing economy in our amazing country. We need to invest for the future. Those who can do it should pay in. It's only fair. Tax fairness is what this is about. Mm-hmm. The second point is we all contribute. How do we contribute? We contribute by paying our regular taxes, being involved like today, caring for kids like these 4-year-olds. We all contribute to build up our society. Reasonable revenue is one way forward. But the other piece is about responsible programs. Responsible programs are like these programs here that take a little bit of government money, take a little bit of private donations, take volunteer time, take certification, take all these things, and they put them together to create amazingly responsible programs. Social service programs are the most responsible programs in the U.S. federal budget. And so we need to promote that responsibility, but we need to require responsibility from all the programs, including the Pentagon, including the Department of Commerce, including the State Department. All departments need to be as responsible as these social service programs. And one other piece on this Veterans Day, and here close to the Air Academy, is we need to be especially concerned. It breaks my heart that we chose to wage 2 wars in the last decade, and we continue to wage one. And yet we did not choose to pay 1 dime to protect our men and women in uniform. To me, that was wrong. We as a nation need to stand with our men and women in uniform, stand with our veterans. We may have different opinions on the wars, but we stand with our people. We are faithful to the people who put their lives on the lines for us when asked to do so. And we did not pay for it. We need to pay now. We need to be responsible and pay for our veterans coming back. Support them. Care for them. They have suffered enough. My sister was pinned to a guy at the Air Academy, and she died before they could get engaged and married. But I got to see him on the first Nuns bus trip. And Bill was shot down. He was an air pilot in Vietnam, shot down, was a prisoner of war, has horrible stories. But he told me that the Veterans Affairs, the Veterans Bureau, the healthcare saved his life physically, but saved his life psychologically, because that's been the hardest part, to deal with the trauma that he experienced. And when I think of all of the men and women who come back and have the same story, we need to care for them, all of the bills. We need to make sure that they are cared for. So reasonable revenue for responsible programs, that is the way forward. So Colorado, you've done some fabulous piece of work. We have a bit more work to do. The election is over, and we might all think, oh, praise God, we don't have to watch those ads anymore. But the fact is, our work has just begun, because tomorrow, Congress reconvenes. God help us. I mean, I sort of tease and think DC was safe before. Now it's going back to being trouble, but it's also going back to the time when our voice is most needed. So I call on you, Colorado, stand up, speak your mind, be for reasonable revenue for responsible programs, because we, the people of the United States, can make a difference if we stand together. That's the way forward, is we, our community, together we can make a difference. Thank you so much. Okay, so they probably can't handle us all at once, but should we see this fabulous responsible program? I'm dying to see it.
We love you, Sister Simone!
Seriously, this is the joy of this. This is the joy. People find, I mean, I don't get it. People find my showing up and be a good thing. I love it. It's fantastic because I gain so much from you. But isn't that community where you see gift in me and I see gift in you, and we're unaware of how of our gifts ourselves, but being together in community, wow, we can make a change. We can do this. It's wonderful. Thank
Where's Christy?
For those who wish to see the facility and learn a little bit more, please come on in, take a right, and we will meet in the gymnasium in just a couple of minutes. Thank you.